What would you have done differently? Every Thursday, the work week catches up with me, and I threaten to exercise my free will. Guess what day I'm starting this podcast? I'm really excited because life, even though it's short, it's full of amazing, brilliant people, and I have the pleasure of calling many of them my friends and colleagues. Feels criminal not to put them on camera. Welcome to Thursday VC. I'm Mala. Today, I have a fantastic guest. Hi, Petra. Welcome.
Hello.
Hi. Petra is the CEO and co-founder of Brainzell. Petra, you're really used to people asking you to pitch. And you and I have known each other for a long time, but I don't think our listeners know you. I challenge you. Give me the version of you look so nervous,
Yes.
that you wouldn't put on a pitch. Who's Petra and why is she making Brainzell?
Okay. I'm a very curious person who has high ambitions and realized that I can actually achieve those ambitions with the right people. And I'm a scientist, but also economist. I was always interested in how things work in society. How can we not maybe make money, but exchange values so everyone benefits. I think I'm most fascinated with science and the curiosity behind it. I want to know how things work, and that's what brought me to Sweden, to Karolinska. But I also have this other side to make things work for the society or for some real use. And I think setting up or going on entrepreneurial journey and creating the company that makes impact is the way how you can make impact in the universe.
So just small goals, impact on the universe. We're going to come back to moving to Sweden and all the rest of the things that make you you. But I'm just going to zoom off for a second. We need to talk about Brainzell. You work with something so incredibly important, and I think it's really important that people get the technology right and understand it right. You make mini brains, to simplify what an organoid is, real human mini brains. And when you explain this to people, I've seen people's faces go through 5 different emotions in about 10 seconds. What do you think is the piece that helps them finally get it? What is it that you do that resonates?
I've spent many years trying to find a way how to explain what we do. And now, like, the short version is that we can create human brain tissue from patients or any person's blood sample that you normally give when you go and check your cholesterol. So from the same blood sample, we can collect cells and create human brain tissue, your brain tissue, in the laboratory. And the tissue is called miniature organ, so organoid. Other scientists create other organs like kidney, intestine, any organ in your body. So it's a miniature organ that simulates the architecture, and not everything, but certain aspects or certain biological processes in the real human organs.
I think some people who listen to this get really scared because it feels like there's a tiny brain that is thinking and feeling. You know, when you say it mimics, is that little brain thinking and feeling, or is it more a simplified version?
It's definitely a simplified version. We don't know if it's because we don't have any way to ask.
That's the most philosophical and absolutely not to marketing answer. I love it. It's true. Do we even know if we're thinking?
And it's extremely metaphysical when you start thinking about consciousness and things like that. And the answer is we don't know. We don't know enough as the whole society, as scientists. We have no clue yet what does all this mean, but it can still be helpful in our current daily lives. I see parallels with embryonic stem cells and the work with in vitro fertilization, IVF. It also started 6 years ago as a complete science fiction, and maybe there were questions about ethical and moral consequences. But if it's handled right, it actually helps the society, and it might even help save people. So I see that if it's taken correctly or these questions are asked early, we can still create positive impact, even though it's a very new technology.
You're not afraid of the hard questions, and I think you think beyond just making a product. I can see that. I want to zoom out also on the problem that you're solving. Drug discovery and clinical trials, especially for drugs that treat, let's say, neurological conditions, everything from epilepsy to ADHD to Alzheimer's, they're broken in ways that I think people just don't understand. How would you explain that bottleneck or that hurdle to a person that hasn't spent as much time thinking about it as you have?
So I was looking a bit into history, how people created medicines for people. So a couple of 100 years ago, we tested, or physicians tested directly on humans, right? In the wars. And that, of course, is not acceptable in the modern world. And so we introduced animal testing instead, and that helped a lot and saved a lot of human lives when inventing new medicines. But now we see the obstacles or challenges with these preclinical testing models. And because of using these models that don't really reflect human brain, mice are not humans, simply put. Everyone knows of these limitations, but it has been better than the alternative so far. And because of that, success rate of making new medicines when it works on the mice or animals and it heals symptoms in animals, there is only 7% success rate in general. It's actually going down. It was maybe 8% success rate a couple of years ago, and now the newest data show that in all diseases it's actually less successful. For some reason.
So across the board, we're curing more mice and less humans. I would say 93% of the time we're failing to cure a human. Is that number, is that true for, like I said, ADHD and epilepsy, or do they suffer more in this regard?
It's like there are some data collected a couple of years ago, and then it was obvious that the brain disorders are more affected with this than, let's say, oncology, simply because we don't know much about the human brain and how it works. But now all the numbers are going down, actually. But now we have 2 new technologies that should help us with this. We can derive human miniature organs, so we should be able to test and find better medicines directly on human tissues. And we also have AI and the computational might that is needed to speed up and analyze all the data that we are producing.
On the point of AI, you are what I would define as an AI native company, meaning you've got a real physical world asset, these organoids and the methodology to produce them, and then you're building additional value and insights with AI from the ground up. It's not being sprinkled on top to improve a process. It's going to use what you learn about the brain to become better at curing the diseases. What does the AI layer provide that the organoids alone can't, and perhaps vice versa?
Our company, the core of our company is based on biology. So we are very strong in the organoids, and we are very strong in creating a lot of data. That is, we create live data. So we test the organoids while they are living. We can make, let's say, videos of data or like traces, time-lapse traces of data coming from our organoids. And that takes a lot of time to analyze. And AI can help us to analyze huge amounts of these data and put them into perspective. So we can guide our, let's say, knowledge graphs that we create using the reliable data from human brain biology and make the connections and make it fast. So we can find the medicine in weeks instead of years.
I'm going to I'm also going to provoke a little bit on this side. I got into a heated argument, you can tell which side I might have been taking, with someone who was really pushing for the fact that we can use synthetic data. We don't always need something that anchors to the physical world. And this person used the example of cars, that we can help cars become better predictive by just throwing random non-physical world data at it. Why do you think we can't do that for the human brain?
I think AI is only as good as is the data coming in, and we just simply don't have data for human brain or in general for biology that matters. We just don't have enough. And the biological systems are much more complicated than cars. Because we have been studying cars or developing cars for centuries, but we started understanding biology only in the past 70 years when the DNA code was cracked. So we can't have the same amount of knowledge as we have from the other industrial areas.
I fully agree. And I think this is why, for me, when I see AI moving towards the healthcare or bio sector, I always think that we need something that it couples to that actually helps us get the information. So we're in full agreement here. Most people who work in biology are very nervous about AI because of this, because it's still guessing and predicting, and we can't be doing that with real clinical interventions. At the same time, people building with AI seem to be absolutely afraid of anything with biology. What made you say yes to both?
I think it's the fear of being engulfed in too much data, which are really extremely useful. The way possibility to organize the data into something meaningful, which can be fast. I think that's the problem, and I hear what you're saying. Our AI specialists are a bit afraid of biology, and we are afraid of AI. So it's very hard to find the common ground and
Right.
understanding. You really need special people who can actually cross the bridge and understand each other. And it's just faster. Like it takes time to produce organoids, a couple of months, and then we take a lot of biological tests, or we perform a lot of tests, and it's huge amounts of data. And to analyze that with traditional methods, it could take us years or a lot of people, like a whole team of bioinformaticians. But if you have the right infrastructure, can calculate quickly and make meaningful connections. And when you instruct it correctly, it's within seconds.
Fascinating.
So yeah, it's just to move faster.
I'm very glad that you found each other as a team. I think it's extraordinary, given how scarce you are on both sides in terms of the kinds of people willing to do this. Coming back to the kind of person that you are, who's someone who says yes to things like AI and biology, another thing you've said yes to is moving from the Czech Republic to Sweden. And you hinted that this was because you're curious. I feel like that's the version you tell people officially. Tell me more. What's really behind the thought process to pack up your bags, move as far north as you can, and start something from scratch?
So I guess when I look at it retrospectively, I realized that I kind of reinvented or managed to reinvent myself a couple of times in my life.
Yeah.
And this was one of those occasions, which I think is good because you lose the fear, so you are willing to try it again. I always wanted to be a scientist. When I discovered science, I was just so curious. It was my inner motivation. I had to understand things, and I wanted to have my own research group and go like typical academic research journey. That's what I thought that I'm gonna. And as a part of that, you must leave, at least at the institute where I was in Czech Republic, you must leave your home institute, go abroad,
Interesting.
gather experience and contacts, and come back. So they kind of kick you out. And I was thinking also a bit it's an excellent place. They strive for excellence, and in science, it's really needed to go out and try other things. So I set up on journey, and I was looking for countries where they speak English. It was UK, US, and Sweden.
Amazing.
And then I had a contact to someone who knew a professor at Karolinska, and Karolinska is also a center of excellence. Why not?
Absolutely.
It's not that much colder than the Czech Republic. The only difference is the darkness, which catches up on you. But then if you survive, and
You're really selling it here.
the summer is amazing.
It's true. Every November, I threaten to pack up my bags forever and leave Sweden. And around May, I'm like, this is the best place on earth. And I've done this for 16 years. So just to tell you, like, I never get over it. But I want to tap into something. I love what fundamentally defines you as a scientist, your curiosity. But science and the academic path also teaches you a lot of guardrails. You're supposed to really never guess. You're supposed to prove it and then do it in triplicate. Because as you said, in science, there's so much that we don't know. So we end up with people who are incredibly brilliant, but also are taught to really work within a framework. Entrepreneurship is an entirely different thing. It's instinct, it's gut, it's courage, it is done before perfect, trying before it's ready. That's another thing you've said yes to. What's that been like?
So this is why I'm a CEO and not a CSO, because I'm more flexible, maybe drawing conclusions before it's proven in triplicates and with a high statistical significance. In entrepreneurship, you need to move fast, and you need to be flexible. You need to swallow your pride. And you have to find ways how to negotiate the best option at that time point. Science or scientists, they are not allowed to take compromises. They need to prove like 100% validity or statistical significance. And that's why I am so happy that I found Robin, my co-founder, because he doesn't take any compromise, can 100% rely on what he says. It's valid, and it shows over and over that our science is really brilliant. Yes, I'm also impatient.
I like that. I like that. You're very different people. I know both of you, and I've had such joy in seeing the two of you together. At the same time, you give in to an analysis paralysis. We've talked about this before. Your beautiful, world-changing solution will never get to people. You have to be able to try things out in the real world before you're done.
I think what really unifies us is the love for science, and especially for the brain, for the understanding the brain. That is really something deeply rooted in us both.
Petra, neither of us are 19, and I say this as a huge compliment. I think the years have brought me many, many things. What do you have now, whether it's slightly more patience than before, or the judgment, or the perspective, or the sheer refusal to be intimidated by the complexity of building something new in a new country with something that is so technologically intense? There are things that I feel that maybe you simply couldn't have done if you had started this at 19. How much of these years are making Brainzell possible for you?
So experience is important. I remember one Czech entrepreneur said, the most important in entrepreneurship is not to shoot yourself. In both ways. So you cannot be scared or afraid of being threatened, but also you cannot be overexcited with your achievements. In the long run, what you learn with your life experience, it doesn't matter. These small hiccups in both ways. So you need to have your very high goal in mind and relentlessly go for it. And I think as a young woman, I was maybe more like waiting for the prince kind of to come.
Permission to build.
Or permission or something, and being judged by others and myself. And I remember Christine Lagarde saying what she would recommend herself when she was younger. And she was all like, only focus on yourself, basically. Build your life for your own and understand your ambition and your talent and just go for it. And I think, I guess, I don't know if it's because one grows older, probably with the life experience. What really matters is what you leave behind. And if you really fulfill the potential that you have, and you shouldn't ask anyone else, only yourself, if you manage or not.
I love that. I love that. I have many beautiful memories of us. One of them is you standing on the stage at Tech Arena, one of the biggest tech conferences here in the Nordics, also in Europe. And you won. And Steve Wozniak hands you this enormous check. And there's confetti everywhere, and they're asking about your upcoming investments and things like that. How did it feel to be in that room? And did you know that you were going to win when you walked down to that stage?
I didn't know. So it felt like enormous joy, unbelievable joy.
Yeah.
So that was really beautiful moment. I still remember it. I realized that it might happen maybe like 1 minute before it happened.
Something in your gut told you.
Yeah, exactly. Like, what if I win? What do I
Right.
say? And then I think I really managed to say something which kind of resonated with people. So that was really like a strong moment.
That's amazing. I hope you heard me. I was cheering for you in the audience,
Yeah.
as were everybody else. I'm going to tap into the fact that we have worked very closely together since the term sheet and actually even before. What have you learned about me that surprised you? And you are allowed to be honest here because it's being recorded.
This is gonna be very honest. What I learned about you, that you are extremely fun person, which I wouldn't expect when we were negotiating together. And you have extreme insight. Like, you are very smart. We had a strategy meeting, right, in the company some months back, and what you presented then, it kind of took me maybe by surprise, like how high you think of ourselves and how high you think the goals we should reach. How I haven't dreamt of on such goals, but now they are becoming reality, and so that's something that I will miss.
You don't have to miss me. I will always be hovering near you, and I am so touched. I wasn't expecting. That's very, very touching to hear. I will take the backhanded compliment of the surprise that I was fun.
It's very fierce negotiator.
Okay. What is the thing that you wish you had known about taking on an investor? Now you're early in the process. I was one of your first investors. You have some amazing people around the cap table as well. What's something that you've learned that you think could be helpful for someone that's about to take that first step as well?
I have, I had a lot of advice from, for example, incubators and people who have done it before, and when they give me the advice, I tried to understand or like fulfill what they say, but until you live it, you don't really understand it fully. So I will say advice that might sound generic, but it's true, and you have to live it through. You have to understand their perspective, and you have to understand how they are thinking or what is their not agenda, but they also have responsibilities. They have responsibilities to their investors, and they need to fulfill certain goals, and that's why they are behaving, or either it fits their thesis or it doesn't. And you will get further if you understand this and show them how your company could fit into their thesis. And what I specifically learned from the journey with you, we met many times before the investment, and I always tried to improve since last time.
You were so good at this, Petra. I'm sorry to interrupt, but I noticed that every time we asked or challenged, you took it in, and the next time you had thought about it and then some.
As a scientist, you are a very proud person. And you need to be proud because you have to defend your position against other scientists.
Right.
But if you want to make a deal, you need to swallow your pride and you need to understand the other side. To be honest, by being pushed, we just made ourselves better.
I'm
So
glad.
we need to be open to that. But I see many entrepreneurs don't take that or don't understand that. I don't know if it's for good or bad, but if you want to create some real innovation, you need to be super open and super flexible and change quickly.
Adaptability and speed. I like that. I have one last question for you. Someone is listening to this right now who is either a scientist thinking about becoming a founder, or a founder who does not think their science is fundable, or someone else who is waiting for permission some other way to begin. What do you want them to know?
Find people, resources that will support you to do the first minimal step, the first minimal prototype, the first just validation of your thought in some very, very minimalistic way. If you are in Sweden, definitely go to incubator. There are people who have done it, and there are methodologies how to do this. And I think what I have learned as an entrepreneur, which they did teach us in a business school, is the way of prototyping and
Iterative.
iterative prototyping, and just start small. You can just do like very, very minuscule thing, just to, when you finish that, take the next step.
I love that. Petra, thank you so much for your time with me today, and this conversation has brought me so much joy. I want to thank all the listeners that have listened to Thursday VC today. You can find us on all the channels where you listen to your podcast, and I am so lucky to be able to have free will, laugh out loud, and learn new things every Thursday.
Cool. Thanks.